spread between Armentières and Ypres. Right, been pulled back again by that chasing group. And they're coming up pretty quick. That certainly doesn't look to me like 20 seconds. And on the front, Fondres is beginning to pride himself off the front. And Dirk de Wolf on the left-hand side, De Baar on the right-hand side. Sean Yates, there he is. So in fact, Sean, I thought, was getting across the gap. He must have been with this little group here. Quick flick of the camera's got him in the wrong spot, but Sean is there with Baar. Of course, this Gent Wevelgem, well known to British followers of this particular race, because Barry Hoban won it back in 1974. Our own Tom Simpson second in 1963. The gap now 21 seconds. Sean Kelly winner in 88, Sean Yates second in 89, and so now the riders here, the little chasing group, the steam seems to have gone out of Fondres' legs. Perhaps he's suffering still from the effects of his chase, trying to win the Tour of Flanders. There's Kelly as well. Kelly just come up the front. He was a bit cooked. I think he finished about 41st on Sunday after the Tour of Flanders, but he's up there at the front. Kelly in the blue of the Festina team, and look at these people fighting those cobbles. Just take that all in. These men, professional bike riders, many of them Bussier got last Sunday in the Tour of Flanders, back in again. They've had a nice long curling route to get to these hills. They started out from Ghent, a well-known town where in the Café den Angles, many British bike riders I know spent many hours in years gone by. And of course the Ghent six-day track scene of the activities of people like Tony Dorr, great six-day success he's had there. My good friend Russell Williams spent a lot of life belting around the track in Ghent. And of course Danny Clark too, ex-Ghent resident, as was Barry Hoban. He lived in Ghent, and so did Tom Simpson. Lots of bike riders. He's been so close this year. He's already had about 4 or 5 victories, but the big one I thought must come to any moment. And this, although it's a big one, the Gent Wevelgem is not one of the major classics. It's a semi-classic now, lost a bit of its sort of shine in recent years, but nevertheless still a great one to win. And 54 events of this Gent Wevelgem have been held. Off the front there at the moment, Stefan Yoho, the man who started this activity, and they caught him on that first climb. He's still hanging on for grim death for the Arastea squad. And there we are. Johan Tchmil's in there too. I hadn't spotted him earlier on. Thank you for putting that one up. He did remarkably well the other day too. From the Motorola squad, there's Sean. Look at that power. Looking back to his shots, Scandi coming through. I must get to speak to Scandi one day, being an Italian born in Derby. Over at the moment with their successes. The gap's down to 15 seconds, so we might see a big sprint yet to come. And the French aren't known at the moment for having any great sprinters in there. The Moncassin might be the man at Nuremberg. That was quite something in the good old days. And of course, running Ras now, team manager. This fellow on the back, there we are. The wind, oh, that's nice, isn't it? 10 kilometres per hour. 70% whatever it is, chance of rain, yes, and it's 18 degrees centigrade. My goodness, you've got the weather forecast as well while we're waiting. But this, of course, is Belgium. This is the curl back up now. They've done the big circuit around the edge of the North Sea. They've turned back down towards the Armentières and turning back up them towards Wevelgem, towards the finish. So this little group, very, very useful group indeed at the moment. And 31 kilometres to go. Aldi there, so he's been put, yes, so this is got to be, that's Tibaldi, he's been put, is in that little group, he's there, hang on. So that's Yoho that was on the front. Now they're beginning to come back together again now. That's what's happened, is that whilst we watch that little lot, it looks like we've now got the junction, and finally they've caught the pedals underneath them. Those special little cleats to grab the, oh, there's his car. Go back, Mr. Cameron. Oh, I thought we were going to see a chance of a change of wheel then. Up in front, it's half the trouble with this bike racing game when they're stringing along like this and you puncture. If you're not one of the top chaps in with a chance of the sprint, then nobody's going to look after you. You just got to get your wheel, get back on again and chase like fury and hope that you can get in the following group of motor cars. And there we are, there's another one. This is also useful, because if you get somebody else who's had the misfortune to puncture when they have Vesha riders down there, what you try and do is get back with him as well, and the two of you work. Quick release, bang goes the old lever, and clip, bang go the clipless pedals. And anyway, his company coming just shows you how many punctures we suddenly had. That's rather a lot. Well, there's no hedges here. They can't be cutting the hedges at the moment, so they must have gone across some very rough roads indeed. And look at the riders now. Yeah. So whilst the race at the front is pretty well contained, let's see if we can watch some of the actions of the riders getting back. So you haven't seen much bike racing before watching this programme. Let me tell you, that's what it's all about. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Misfortune to puncture. They're dropping back now together to group up, and look what they've got to catch. Now when it's all strung out like that, that just shows you that the people at the front are not going to bother two tuppences about the people at the back who just puncture. They're going to put the old hammer down and make everybody suffer. And there they are, stretching the legs yet again. Slide off the front then. And that is in fact, we saw one of the Panasonic slides in front. I thought it was Ekimov, and we'll have to wait and see as we get down closer. If Andres is it, well, so it is. My goodness. Well, for him to slide off the front so quickly as that is rather remarkable. At this stage, very talented, comfortable rider. I was telling you about that crash when Bauer and Coquillon upended each other. Well, this man Fondres went to the wreckage and actually won and became the world champion. A lot of people then said, not a world champion, the other two were going to be first and second and you were just going to be third. But Fondres has proved since then a worthy champion, in fact, and last year winner of the World Cup Series. A great talented, very classy bike rider. Look at Van der Aarden on the front. Oh, points winner in the Nissan Tour, won so many races in his time, and he's out on the front of that saddle, really ploughing along. Now look how he freewheeled then. Once he got up there, he's eased back. The Gathray team on the front. Gathray Shadow Dax, an Italian-based team, a right mixture they've got now with Italians and Frenchmen in the team and Belgians. Casado, Bauer and Manuel Love, there again a nice mixture of different nations. Oh yes, look, see the red, yellow and blue colours of Panasonic. I said, read the script, can't you? That they've got to start. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Panasonics moving through now, and that is a sure sign. And but their cables are hidden, so another bit of technical novelty for you. 8 gears, in fact, Campagnolo, if you want to buy a nice set of that. But you better go and have a word with your bank manager before you start out to do it. They cost a lot of money. Still these three then. Bauer on the front. And oops, we've got a level crossing coming up. Let's keep our fingers crossed for this one. Bauer, of course, perhaps also well known for that time when he clopped off in the Tour de France a couple of years ago and took the yellow jersey in fine style on the tour. There was 4 of them that went away, Chiappucci and Bauer, Marson and Pensek, all except Marson then taking over the yellow jersey. Here we are, we've got Panasonic on the front, and they recognise the danger, because particularly with Bauer, that's what Post said, that they ought to realise when that group went away in the Tour of Flanders that the danger man was Wegmuller, with his ability to drive along a group. And what they didn't realise, I think, is that had won it, Durand had also been, in fact, a 100-kilometre time trial champion of France as an amateur, so they're very well versed in putting a nifty pedal around. Bauer looking back over his shoulder, Casado moving through. Followers of the English milk race will perhaps remember that going down that stage into Lincoln about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, for old Casado. So there's the big bunch behind. Oh, determination on the face of these Ryan. Bauer is burying himself. Steve Bauer really began to bury himself in chase of that victory in this race. So there's Bauer looking back now to see if it's still worthwhile continuing with it. It must be. They've still got every chance of winning this race, that group, Casado, Bauer and Manuelov.
So 3 men out there in the lead then. They've been out there now for almost 10 kilometers, but they're being reeled in. Bauer of Canada, Casado and Manuelov, those are the 3 that have done the work, but the attempt has failed. It's been a very, very brave effort, but now they're getting pulled back in. Panasonic doing all the work to get back up there, attacking again and again. And Dirk de Wolf of Gatorade in the green there, he attacks, pulls those 3 out in front gradually closer and closer. That piece of string getting shorter and shorter now between those 3, less than 3 kilometers to go. And the pack gradually closing in now. What a shame, it's been such a brave effort. Everybody keen to keep the pace healthy at this stage. The whole pack pushing hard. Everybody wanting to give their sprinters a good chance at this stage. If the pack slows down now, there's a chance of another breakaway, and nobody wants that. So they're pushing it hard now in the finishing straight. The finish almost in sight now. And the pack gradually closing on those lead riders. Every man has a specific job in that pack, and that is to keep riding and riding and riding as fast as possible, keeping the pace up, keeping it healthy so that that gap closes. The Motorola team are moving up hard now, coming very close to the last kilometre. and the pace being pushed so hard by the Motorola squad. Panasonic have done the work too. Everybody's worked to pull in those 3 riders, and it's worked. And here comes the Panasonic squad again, pushing that pace on. The whole pack just sitting there ready to pounce, biding its time. All the big kickers getting ready now, the real sprinters getting psyched up for this finish. Don't forget, they've been out there now for a long, long time, 130 miles this race, and the sprint just about on now. The sprinters in that pack, Cipollini, Abduljaparov, they'll all be waiting for it, and Janshua there in the blue of Motorola. He's pushing the pace hard. He's done his bit. The TVM team go into the lead, but Motorola goes straight with them, and Janshua tries to get on the back of those two. The pack still sitting there though, just waiting. An ominous gap that between those lead 3 and the pack. Getting close to the line now. Not far to go. All these riders doing their utmost to keep in the slipstream of the rider in front, to keep away from the wind. The wind, of course, coming from their right at this stage of the race, and the pace really being pushed now. Dirk de Wolf in the lead now for Gatorade team. Just 540 metres to go. They're inside the last kilometre, and Gatorade working so hard to try and keep that pace healthy. The sprinters are beginning to come through now. The wind coming from the right, everybody biding their time, and here comes the pack now. They're moving up within the last 200 or 300 metres now. The sprint very much on. Moncassin in second for the Castorama team now. And at the line, they're all there. Look at this, pushing and shoving across the course. Who's going to have it at the line? Who's it going to be? Cipollini, Abduljaparov, the other sprinters, they're all there. And on the line, goodness me, over on the left there, it looked like Abduljaparov from Cipollini, but they were going all over the road. They weren't maintaining a straight line as the rules require. And that really was a disastrous finish for Cipollini. There looked like Abduljaparov took it on the line, but there was contact between the 2 riders, and I wonder what will happen with that. The rest of the field filing through. Looked to me like Capiot of Belgium took 3rd place, but very, very hard to say with that mass finish on the line. All those riders, of course, being given at the same time. So this 54th edition then of the GAND-WEVELGEM, a very, very exciting finish there, and ending quite possibly in controversy. Abduljaparov, the ex-Soviet rider, well, he's been in trouble before. He won a couple of stages of the Tour de France last year, but in this race last year, of course, Abduljaparov won, despite Cipollini and Ludwig, the 2nd and 3rd places, both complaining about his actions in all the action over on the right. Abduljaparov in the blue shorts over on the right, being pushed further. Look at that! Now he pulls Cipollini back, propelling himself further forward. So Abduljaparov, they're crossing the line a couple of metres to the good, but Cipollini raises his arms at the line. You can see that shadow there of the raised arms of Cipollini. The Italian, well, he finished 2nd last year to the Soviet. Of course, now what Abduljaparov doesn't know there is that he was indeed disqualified, and Cipollini, Mario Cipollini, put into 1st place. The Italian given the win. That means that Capiot is 2nd and Adriano Baffi of Italy is 3rd. Capiot, of course, from Belgium, taking the 2nd place. At this stage, Abduljaparov rushed up onto the rostrum, showing his appreciation to the applause of the crowd, and he thought he'd won it, but quite justifiably Cipollini put in a complaint, and you see Cipollini here saying very shortly after the race that he had been told by the jury that he was indeed going to be given the win. Abduljaparov pulled him back, propelled himself forward, and the Soviet disqualified. So win for Cipollini.